Many cultures, males are encouraged to grow beards. So this is just a partial listing of cultures. If I'm not mistaken, in Amish culture, you do this as a way of showing that you're married, so it's hard to fake marriage. Like you can take off a wedding ring, but you can't take off a beard. There's a guy who just got sent to jail for, he was going around cutting Amish men's beards.
Oh my God.
Yeah. No, like there was like vendettas or something, and like he and his posse of other Amish dudes would cut beards. Google Amish beard, and I swear to you, it's the first thing that will come up.
That's so awkward. Like you couldn't find anything else to do with that man to cut their beard.
Well, if the beard emphasizes that you're married, I mean, it carries more symbolic connotation than often it does with us.
I mean, if it's cut off, you're still married. Like nothing changes.
It's more.
It would be significant to like walking up to an American and just like chopping her hair off,
Yeah.
like at the root. Like
We just don't
it grows back, but
Yeah.
it's still mortifying.
All right. So think of your notion of whatever divinity, unless they're divinity devoted to youth. Think of the standard pictures of God in many cultures that allow pictures of God, of their God. You technically say. Think of Yahweh. How is Yahweh presented? The Jewish God. Is he clean shaven? Think of like Michelangelo, ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. God has this
Oh, yeah,
yeah, God is often presented with a beard. At other times and places, actually, they preferred to be clean shaven. So this is a pure cultural preference. Pure culture. So mine is more lazy. Anything. Mine's like, I don't want to shave. I would be the worst woman. I really would. I'd be a horrible woman. I'm like,
At least you know.
it's like an hour to get ready in the morning. That ain't happening. 30 minutes, that ain't happening either. What about roll out of bed and just show up?
Hey, sometimes we do that too.
I know. She said it, not me. All right. We've already done hair removal by females. Of course, our culture emphasizes this so much that.
Oh. What is that?
Underarm?
Who is that? You remember O'Toole? She apparently is. She's not gonna shave, man. She wants the world to know. So I figured.
That is disgusting.
Well,
Why
in
is it
Germany, they
disgusting?
don't
She
shave
gave
their
him such a
heads.
program.
Nasty. Because hair holds sweat and stuff and like
Is it disgusting on male too?
no, it's nice.
It also holds sweat and dirt and
But
all.
that's why you're a man. You're supposed to be that rugged, you know. I mean, it's smelly, but it's natural for a man to smell. And sometimes when they work
It's
out.
natural for a woman.
It's just weird that she's just broadcasting her hair.
She grows it. Females often grow hair on their face too.
And that's so weird. Especially like those older women that have.
No, it's like our
Older
culture polarizes the genders. Like if a female grows hair on her face, we're like, you're not supposed to have hair there. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Yes. What is your body doing?
Yeah, you so naturally.
You're like, what are you doing,
I
lady?
mean, what you're showing is that you've been you've been encultured by our culture that says male body hairs.
That's true.
But
It looks like she has more hair on one than
I know, right?
I was just wondering why.
I think she tries to like
There's something in the background.
she's proud.
She American.
It's not like
Because
At the college I went to, it was very common for women not to shave. Shaving was seen as a sign of patriarchy.
Her roommate doesn't shave. I don't know why people don't shave.
It's also about hygiene, right? I mean, if you
But
don't
if it's hygiene, it would be hygiene for both sexes. Like if it were a hygiene issue, I should be shaving my armpits too and shaving my
I
legs.
think mostly they don't care about it. I would say.
Care about it.
I think it's disgusting on both.
What?
I think it's disgusting on both men and female.
I just think it's awkward that, you know, if you don't shave, it's okay. You know, just keep
Like,
it
if it's
to yourself.
like-
But when you just,
That's where you can actually
you
break
know,
it.
arm all out, showing the world.
in German
Like
culture,
two different conversations, but he's like braiding your pubic hair and
Wait, break it.
I don't know how I got
but
going.
isn't it true that in German culture it is actually frowned upon for women to shave?
I know, it's purely cultural. This
Yeah.
is pure culture. There's no biological reason women should shave.
I have all German relatives and on my dad's side, and they actually all shave now. They're like, oh yeah, I guess it's sort of divided. Like they
Really?
started to move toward like
It's pure
American
culture. And
Yeah.
cultures change and, all right, moving along. Female circumcision, all right, controversial topic. What? I'm not going to show the pictures I show in PY108. Y'all are saved. But what's going on here? This is not mandated by any religion. It's purely a cultural practice. But what's going on here? Believe it or not, believe it or not, this is actually very similar to the hair issue. It is a gender polarization issue. In many cultures, it is thought that males have external genitalia and females have internal genitalia, and so in these cultures they cut off the clitoris to go, we don't want any external genitalia. That's a male thing.
Serious?
Yes.
Isn't that for the woman strictly for her pleasure?
I'm not agreeing with the practice. I'm more saying you can, if you put it in its context and go, okay, I'm not agreeing with it, and I recognize the importance of the clitoris, but if your argument is that males and females need to be polarized, because you were arguing with body hair a second ago, this is in many ways an extreme form of that argument.
I would run for my life if I lived there. I would not be with that.
You wouldn't know.
Oh,
It
yeah.
happens. It's when you're born. It's just like we circumcise males when they're born here.
But why can't all
It often happens later. It often happens
Really?
6 years prior to
like-
puberty.
So
Those
it's
ones
just
were
because
older.
like when I learned about this, we learned about it as sex for procreation only.
Yeah, that's part of the idea is that
And-
females have this lusty sex drive, and if you don't get rid of their clitoris, they are going to have sex with everything that moves.
Right.
My life is evidence that's not true. But that's the argument being offered here for it. Is there's multiple things going on here, but one argument is a gender polarization issue. And they also point out many times that we cut off the foreskin in males, which is homologous to the clitoral hood in females. So I'm not defending the practice as much as I'm saying this is a way this plays out. Other things that go on. Status. No, I got more. This is a fun one for me. Status plays a cue to attractiveness. We tend to find higher status people more attractive. You upset about the previous one? No. Oh, okay, yours okay. You got this. Go ahead. All right. So I'll give one of my favorite examples with this is teeth. Like our culture loves white teeth. We love white teeth. Some people have blinding white teeth that look unnatural. And I see them and go, oh, really? But white teeth are our culture status issue. This is true. I'm not even making this up. Other cultures actually prefer dark teeth. I don't know if you're thinking to yourself, can you show me?
I want to see it.
Yeah, I want to see it.
Well, y'all are, I'm going to show it either way. She's happening, man. She's hot. She's got that black teeth. Mm.
Teeth is a sign that your teeth are rotting, which is a sign of.
But here's what's interesting. Oh, you see, but it's a status cue. In our culture, black teeth are a sign of rotting because we have dentists and orthodontists and all this other stuff. But go back about 300 years. I'll just actually my next slide. Go back to Queen Elizabeth. When sugar was first discovered, sugar was expensive. Having the ability to eat sugar meant you were rich. Sugar would rot your teeth, and so for her, black teeth were a sign that she was high status. It is our cultural cue that say, no, it's white teeth that are the sign of status. I give you this one, it's actually one of my favorites, to go, we think it's so natural to love white teeth, but it's our culture telling us that. So,
Who did that?
I do not know off the top of my head. It was not I can look it up.
Wait, so because she has black teeth, that's a sign of her status, but that doesn't necessarily imply that she would be considered attractive.
she and her court felt the black teeth enhanced her beauty.
Yeah, that's not quite out.
What?
Or did they fall out?
I think they did fall out.
So that's not beautiful.
That's our cultural perspective is they need to be white and you need to whatever.
Actually have them.
And have
Yeah.
y'all are so Western. All right. Curves. There are several things going on here with curves. The Hebic female tends to be narrower. Her waist tends to be narrower, and her hips wider than males. So, and what we can do is we can actually see this over the lifespan. The open circles here are female, but what happens here? So prior to puberty, males and females tend to have very similar waist-hip ratios. Waist-hip ratio is just a measure of the waist, obviously, to the hip. And what happens at puberty is the female's hips expand, right? They get wider, get birth and hips, and this lowers the waist-hip ratio, right? Because what you have is waist over hip. If the hips get larger, what happens to this what happens to this ratio? If I put a bigger number on bottom, what's going to happen? If I have 1 over 2 versus 1 over 3, yeah, this is going to be smaller.
We're not ready.
Almost done. Almost done. Almost done. Then I can go home and cry. All right. This number gets smaller. That's what's happening here. Wow. And what often happens is that females will exaggerate this waist-hip ratio through clothing. Right? So what's some ways in which you can use clothing to exaggerate?
Belts.
Belts, girdles, Spanx.
What you know about that?
Of course, it'd be an older one, right? So many cultures do this, and I'll give you one more example from my good buddy Hesiod. I don't know why I was in a Hesiod mood, but apparently I was. I never get to talk about Hesiod, ever. So, thank you. He writes, don't let any sweet talking, remember he's writing to his brother, he's still telling his brother what to do. Don't let any sweet-talking woman beguile your good sense with fascinations of her shape. It's your barn she's after. Basically, the Greek here is a little more descriptive. The Greek here is much more along the lines of, don't let a woman wiggle her ass at you. She's just trying to take your money, would be how we would say it. The Greek is a little more descriptive than the English. So West is an author. He did a commentary on Hesiod's Works and Days on the Greek text, and it was very, very exciting to read, as exciting as it sounds. But this is actually a little disturbing. These are all comments come from West's commentary. He writes, he's saying that if you catch a woman stealing food, that you should not allow her to beguile you with her body and get away with it. I don't know why this makes me smile. This was from 800 BC, just so y'all know the time period we're talking about. What?
Why is she taking food?
Because she didn't have any. He's basically saying, if it were in modern parlance, we would basically say she's a gold digger trying to woo you with her Spanx and stuff.
And her girdles.
And her girdles and fake eyelashes, and no one knows what she looks like. Right? BMI is going to be the last one for today. BMI plays a role in attractiveness. BMI, of course, is body mass index. And in many cultures, there's a negative correlation between status and BMI. Now, here's how it plays out. So we have BMI and status. In many cultures, there's a negative correlation. This is our culture. In other cultures, there's a positive correlation between these two. What might be the third variable?
Money for food?
What?
Money for food?
Money for food. Yeah, the third variable here is money for food. In our culture, where healthy food is a little more plentiful, but still it's costly, you find this. But in other cultures where food is not plentiful, you find this correlation. So it's interesting how this plays out. So culture plays a huge preference here. We're going to continue this on Monday. Hope you all have a great weekend. All the notes are online so far.